Okay, Ariella, I'm ready to jump in. Hello, and welcome to the weekly Pre-Shabbat AGJC Zoom call. Each week, we gather together the Jewish communities of all 6 GCC countries and our families and friends from around the world to hear a special message before Shabbat, light candles, hear Dvar Torah, pray, and read a section from the weekly Torah portion. Today, we are honored to have Ted Deutsch, who will speak to us about interfaith cooperation and the fight against anti-Semitism. The Association of Gulf Jewish Communities is the umbrella organization for the Jewish communities of the GCC countries that are building and enhancing Jewish life in the region. While each community is independent, we share a common goal and vision for Jewish life to flourish in the Gulf for the benefit of both residents and visitors. To stay updated on AGJC events, please follow us on Twitter at @GulfJewish and visit our website, www.gulfjewish.org. Before I say Shabbat Shalom, we have a participant on our Zoom call today, Yoel Haravan. Please vote for him to be one of the 50 most influential Jews in the Jerusalem Post. I'll put the link up there if you like, and just go there and vote for Yoel. Go ahead, Ariella. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Well, that was a wonderful ad. So now we'll head over to Bonnie for the candle lighting for this week.
Thank you, Ariella. Shabbat Shalom. And let's make sure you can see candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you so much. And now we'll head over to Yoel Haravan for Yedid Nefesh.
ידיד נפש, ורחמה, משוך עבדך אל רצונך, ירוץ עבדך כמו הים, ישתחווה אל מול עדרך, ירא ידידותיך מנופת צוף וכל טעם, אדוני עזיב העולם, נפשי חולה תאוותך, אנא לפניי בהערות לנועם זיווה, אל תתחזה ותתרפא, והייתה לה שמחת עולם, ותקמנה רחמך וחוסנה על בן אהובך, כי זה כמה נחשפתי לראות ותפארת עוזך, אליך חמדה ליבי וחוסנה, ואל תתעלם, יגאלנה, ופרוס חביבי עליו יצוקת שלומך, מכבודך נגילה ונשמחה בה, מהרה כי במוות בכל עינו כי מלכה. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom. And now over to Alex for Lecha Dodi.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zacha b'dibur echad, ishmiyanu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך יחמלוך, קומיצי מתוך אפיך, רב לך שבט בימי קבך, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימים ושמאל תפרצי, ואת אדוני תריצי. על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Thank you so much, Alex, and for the new tune. That was very nice. And now we will head over to Harriet, who's going to introduce today's speaker.
You're mute, Harriet.
Yes, I listen, I'm never one to stay mute, so I fixed that. Shalom Chaverim. I am pleased and honored to introduce Ted Deutsch, who assumed the CEO position at AGJC last October 2022. And Ted was preceded by David Harris, and I trust that we will have Ted at our helm for another 31 years. There's no early retirement with us. Prior to becoming the CEO, Ted came from Congress. He represented the district in Florida, the 19th district, and he served on the Committee on Foreign Affairs, the Committee on the Judiciary, the Subcommittee on the Middle East, North Africa, and Global Counterterrorism. So he is excellent for this group. Other subcommittees, but also chaired the Committee on Ethics, which is no small feat. So without cheating you of time with Ted, I present Ted Elliott Deutsch.
Thanks, Harriet. I appreciate that. A very kind introduction. Here's to the next 31 years for all of us. It's really great to be with everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. I I'm so fortunate to be able to do this work at American Jewish Committee. It's the Jewish part of it in particular, and on Shabbat, as we prepare for Shabbat, that's especially so. And I know, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's about anti-Semitism and our efforts. But last Shabbat, I was asked to give a Dvar Torah, which I hadn't done in a long time, and I really enjoyed it. So I had the opportunity to be with all of you as we prepare to welcome in Shabbat. And I decided to take a look at this week's Parsha. And I want to just tell you what was particularly moving for me. The Parsha this week is Mato Maseh. And after having fled Egypt and left slavery in Egypt, the Jewish people wandered, as we know, for 40 years, 42 different stops along the way. And in this week's Parsha, the people arrive right on the doorstep of the Promised Land. And I was thinking, as I was getting ready to join this fantastic group, about what it means, what it meant to be stateless for all of the time from 70 CE, on the fall of the Second Temple, to the rebirth of the modern state of Israel in 1948, and all of the wandering that was done, but also the opportunities along the way to establish communities in so many parts of the world. And I don't think I could have imagined, certainly in all the years that we read this Parsha when I was at summer camp, that one day, as we're preparing to read the Torah about finally having the opportunity to see the Promised Land, that we would gather together here, so many of you, so close to Israel, and also so comfortable and so welcome in the countries that you live in the Gulf. And that opportunity that we have to celebrate exactly what that means at a time when so many are so uncomfortable and challenged around the world, so many are stateless, so many wander around still, to have developed this incredible community that's existed for so long in the Gulf, but that is now so open and so free and so beautiful for those of us around the world to see, and such an example of what religious pluralism and a tolerant country looks like, and countries look like. It's a very special opportunity, and I think that's relevant in particular for the work that AGJC does. The White House put out a strategy to combat anti-Semitism, and I only want to talk about one part very briefly because it relates to the fact that we're gathering here in places all around the world, but really hosted by the Jewish communities in the Gulf, to recognize what it means when communities stand together to fight anti-Semitism. And in my recent visit to the Gulf and the opportunity that I had to spend time at the Abrahamic Family House, and to see the commitment to moderation and tolerance and pluralism that is represented by a church and a mosque and a synagogue, all of equal size, all in the same place, all supported by the government. And I think about what we're doing in the United States at a time of rising anti-Semitism, looking for the voices who will join with us in standing up to anti-Semitism. My trip to the Gulf is really an inspiration. And I would just suggest to all of you that these kinds of opportunities, and I have been with you once before. It was some time ago. I was still in my prior job. It was exciting for me then, but it is particularly thrilling for me to gather with this community as we tackle the challenges around the world, as we take on anti-Semitism here in the United States right at this moment, and we think about the importance of pluralism and being together, and different communities standing together, and the importance of allyship and what it means that last night in Congress, AJC helped relaunch the Black Jewish Caucus, and what it means when AJC establishes deeper relations through our Muslim Jewish Advisory Council, and the importance of bringing the diversity, the great diversity of the Jewish community together to stand together in this fight. This is a reminder of why that's so important and what's at stake and how we can do this together. So Harriet, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to join with you and with the community this morning, this afternoon, sorry for all of you. And as Shabbat approaches, I think it's just one more opportunity as we think about the coming day of rest that Shabbat represents and the opportunity to recharge, that we also recognize this as an opportunity to celebrate the diversity of our community, the fact that even as we're preparing to read about the Jews returning, just seeing the promised land, that we're at a moment in time when so many of us feel so comfortable in so many places around the world, and building that kind of tolerance and pushing forward in ways that will bring communities together is exactly what we do and what we're so honored to do with this community in particular. So Riva and Mark and our good friend, all of our good friends in the Gulf and our friends from around the world, I say Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful and peaceful Shabbat, and I look forward to visiting with you in the Gulf again sometime soon, and certainly for those of you in the United States, I know that we'll have a chance to see one another again soon as well. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to join.
Thank you so much. I think I speak for everyone when I say that it's really an honor to have you with us, and the AGJC really does play and has always played a really big role for the communities in the GCC. I know that many of our friends, I see there's some comments in here, from both the UAE as well as Bahrain, have very, very fond memories of the early days when the delegations used to come out. And for those of us who are newer to out here, we get to hear these wonderful stories, and they just remind us the close connection that you guys are building between the American Jewish community and the GCC Jewish community. And while I might have used up my joke earlier, it is true. We really couldn't have the AGJC without the AJC. So we're just the G, but we really do appreciate all of the constant support that you guys have provided. And it's such an honor to have Riva and Mark on the ground and for you guys to have your office there. So thank you very much for being with us today. And now we will turn over to Rabbi Rubin, who we don't have to listen to a WhatsApp 5-minute thought on Dvar Torah, because this week we're honored to have him in person.
Oh, such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation and to see all of you. And thank you, Ted, in a way, for setting up my idea for this that I wanted to share with you so beautifully. Because this week, the parashot of Matot and Maseh, as Ted was saying, we close the Sefer Bamidbar and we focus on the journeys that the Jewish people went on in the desert. And Ted, you correctly said that there are 42 journeys that they went through. And the question that all the commentators ask is, how come, why does it detail every single journey in such detail? If you go through the parasha of Maseh, it says, and they went to this place and they camped there, then they left there and then they went to this place, and then they camped there, then they went to another place. And it's just going from one place to the next, sometimes random places. Why does the Torah, we know that the Torah doesn't like to waste words. Why does it have all of these journeys? And there's lots of different answers, but I want to focus on the answers given by the Hasidic masters, because I think they speaks to my heart, and I think there's a very deep spiritual insight. And I was particularly moved by the writings of the Slonim Rebbe, the Rebbe of Slonim, very interesting man who wrote to Sefer about 80 years ago, a Hasidic master, who says that one of the things that we learn from the recounting of these stories, of these journeys, is that we learn that life itself is a journey. We learn that sometimes we get very focused on the end destination. And if you think about it, the Sefer Bamidbar could be ending with the lessons that we learned from the Bamidbar, but in fact, it recounts the process of the journey to remind us that life is a journey, but life has a purpose, and that purpose is gradually taking us out of Egypt. Egypt on a spiritual level was Mitzrayim is what's constricting us, what's the narrowness and narrow consciousness, into the promised land, the land of Israel, where we're free to be ourselves. So the journey is one of self-actualization. But that journey, sometimes we go in different ways. Rabbi Steinsaltz talks about the journey that each person goes on, that each person goes on in a way 42 journeys in their own life, sometimes ending up in places that they don't understand, but each place is like a resting place. Each place is a place to learn from and to actually to bring something to and to learn from. And Rabbi Steinsaltz says it also applies to communities and the Jewish people. That the Jewish people, if we look at it over the last thousands of years, have moved from place to place, and they're journeying. And in each place, it's enriched us, it's given us something more, and we take from there. And there's a learning and there's a purpose to each of those journeys, because each of those journeys, in a way, is teaching us something new, something fresh, that there's a reason. Because when you look at the journey that the Jewish people took in the desert, it's not straightforward. If you wanted to go from Egypt straight to the promised land, there were much easier routes that they could take. But in fact, if you look at the routes, in some ways, it looks like they went backwards sometimes, and then they went forwards, and then they went backwards, and then they went forwards. And in a way, it symbolizes, the Hasidic teachings say, it symbolizes our own life. That sometimes in life, we feel maybe that we're going backwards. But in fact, it's all heading us, it's all taking us to the bigger journey of life. That for some reason, we had to be in that place. There's some reason we had to be there. We have a mission, we have a purpose, we have something to bring to this particular community, to this particular country, in this particular time, that we're all messengers, that we're all shlichim in a way. And we're on the journey of self-actualization. We're on a journey from Egypt to Israel, but that journey takes us in lots of different directions. But each of us has our own personal journey. Each one has a unique mission in this world. Everyone is brought here for a particular reason, and we go through our own personal journeys, and we each have our own mission in life to continue to bring the divine, make this world a better place, make a difference in the world. And therefore, the parsha, in summary, this parsha of this Shabbat, I think, is teaching us three profound lessons. And that is, first of all, that life is a journey. You know, we don't always have to focus on the end destination. We can enjoy the journey and then just, you know, take time to smell the roses and to be here and to enjoy that. And to remember that every journey is unique. We all have our own particular journey in life. And finally, that every journey has a purpose. And when we figure out that purpose, we find out that purpose to be fully ourselves, to give to others, to be of service, then we can really live well and know that Hashem is looking after us. And wishing all of you a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Rubin. And a quick reminder, you could click the link below and sign up for his weekly 5 minutes of Torah inspiration. And I guess to your point about every journey has, you know, kind of has something behind it. I think that, you know, this community right here is kind of proof of that, right? We've all come together we might live in different Jewish communities, and we've come together to create a larger one. So thank you very much for joining us. And now over to Alex for some parsha reading.
Thank you, Ariela. Thank you, Rabbi. And I would like also to thank the people from AGJC. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, all the rest, for all the support you have been showing to the Jewish communities here in the Gulf. If it's in Bahrain, in a original, old, historic community, or if it's in the UAE, to a new community and young community, your presence has been very important for us. And I think that in a world where people are burning Bibles and burning Qurans, it's maybe a good thing to bring more people here to the region and to show them how communities can live next to each other and how coexistence looks like. So thank you so much. וידבר אדוני אל משה בערבות מואב על ירדן יריחו לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם כי אתם עוברים את הירדן אל ארץ כנען והורשתם את כל יושבי הארץ מפניכם ואיבדתם את כל משכיותם ואת כל צלמי מסכותם תאבדו ואת כל במתם תשמידו והורשתם את הארץ וישבתם בם כי לכם נתתי את הארץ לרשת אותה והנחלתם את הארץ בגורל למשפחותיכם לרב תרבו את נחלתו ולמד תמית את נחלתו האל אשר יצא לו שם הגורל לא יהיה למטות אבותיכם תנחלו ואם לא תורישו את יושבי הארץ מפניכם וישר תותירו מהם לסיקים ביניכם ולצנינים בצדכם וצררו אתכם על הארץ אשר אתם יושבים בה והיה כאשר דימיתי לעשות להם אעשה לכם.
Thank you so much, Alex. And now we're going to head over to John, who's going to read the English translation.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. In the steppes of Moab at the Jordan near Jericho, he spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you shall dispossess all the inhabitants of the land. You shall destroy all their figured objects. You shall destroy all of their molten images, and you shall demolish all of their cult places, and you shall take possession of the land and settle in, for I have assigned the land to you to possess. You shall apportion the land among yourselves by lot, clan by clan, with larger groups, increase the share, with smaller groups, reduce the share. Wherever the lot falls for it, that shall be its location. You shall have your portions according to your ancestral tribes. But if you do not dispossess the inhabitants of the land, those whom you allow to remain shall be stings in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they shall harass you in the land in which you live, so that I will do to you what I plan to do to them."
Thank you so much, John. And now we'll head over to Jason, who's going to read the prayer for the GCC.
Thank you, Ariella. May he who gives salvation to kings and dominion to princes, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, who delivers his servant David from the evil sword, who makes a way in the sea and a path through the mighty waters, bless and protect, guard and help, exalt, magnify, and uplift His Majesty the King of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty the King of Bahrain, His Majesty the Sultan of Oman, His Highness the President of the UAE, His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, His Highness the Emir of Qatar, and all their crown princes. And may the Supreme King of Kings in his mercy put a spirit of wisdom and understanding into their hearts and the hearts of all their counselors and officials to deal kindly with us, the house of Jacob, and all the people of this land. Be their shelter and stronghold, and let them not falter. In their days and in ours, may these lands be blessed with stability, prosperity, and peace. May this be his will, and let us say amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jason. And now we will, before we finish and conclude with Shalom Aleichem, just a quick reminder, please join us next Friday, same place, same time, same Zoom link. We're really excited about the list of upcoming speakers that we have, and it's always a joy to go into Shabbat with all of you. So please join us again next week. And now back to Yoel, who's going to usher us out with Shalom Aleichem.
Thank you, Ariella. Please join me for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelechim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei HaMelechim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי מי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שבת שלום.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.